Hey guys, it's Juanita Coley here, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting, and we are here at CCW Vegas Live. I'm hosting Five9 Live, and I'm here with the amazing, the epic Jonathan Rosenberg.
Thank you.
The CTO.
This is epic. I am here with the epic Juanita Coley. Come on.
Listen, I am so excited. You've been all over, and before I hop in, I just got to say, humAIntic.
humAIntic. We're going to talk about humAIntic.
We're going to talk about humAIntic in a second, but before we do, tell the people who are not familiar with you, what your day-to-day role looks like over at Five9.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm the CTO and head of artificial intelligence at Five9, and my day-to-day is sort of direct the technology, the vision, the architecture, a lot of the product strategy for our AI portfolio. Most lately, our Five9 AI agents, Juanita. That's what I'm really focused on, and I know we're going to be talking about it here in this conversation.
Yeah, you guys announced that here, so I'm super excited to talk about that a little bit more. But before we do, a couple months back, we started hearing this term, humAIntic.
humAIntic.
Who do we have to thank for that?
Thank you.
What is humAIntic?
My part-time gig in marketing.
What is humAIntic? Tell me about that.
So there's many layers to it. I'm going to start at the top, Juanita. And the top thing is that we think in the era of AI, what matters almost the most is people. People, human beings matter the most. And when we think about what it takes for AI to be successful, what it actually takes is people. You need people to make AI successful. So the word humAIntic generally encompasses the idea that the way to make AI successful is to leverage the power of people. And that's the humAIntic approach. And what we've really been focused on is this idea of humAIntic data. And the key idea there is that humAIntic data is data you get by observing humans doing a job that you actually want to also have AI both do or assist doing. And you use the data from seeing humans do it well to make your AI more effective. And that is humAIntic data. So it's this whole concept and a new type of data that we're really focused on here at Five9.
It's almost like benchmarking, if you will. So observing what's happening from an agent perspective, human agent perspective, and saying, hey, we're going to set this as a benchmark for what our AI agent should be performing at least here.
Yes, you got it. And actually you captured a key part of what makes humAIntic data exciting is it's not just transcripts of calls, it's things like AQM scores, customer satisfaction, CSAT, resolution rates for the calls that went to human agents. Because those benchmarks are what you want your AI to do at least as good, if not better than that. And so those benchmarks are critical for making your AI agent successful.
I love that. Okay, I had to get humAIntic.
All right, we have to get it in.
I had to get that one. Okay, so here, you all just announced around voice AI agents. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I would be excited to tell you about it. Juanita, this is my baby. I have poured my blood, sweat, tears, time, and energy over the last year or more taking this product forward. It is probably my biggest effort at Five9 to date, and I'm really excited about what it is and what it's going to do. It is the next generation of self-service, it's the next generation of the contact center. So what does it do? Simply is it's a new engine for providing agentic self-service for customers, and we're going to talk about what that means. It does extremely fluid conversations, understands and can handle complicated situations, and at the same time, we put all the security and guardrails on top of it, so it's actually deployable and usable inside the contact center.
I love that. Is this GA?
It is absolutely ready for customers.
All right.
It is live with customers.
I'm excited about that. You know, I got to get a demo.
Well, happy to host you for a demo.
I'm talking about.
You haven't had a demo?
I have not.
Where's our marketing people? Hey, come on, give this woman a demo. I mean, what's wrong with you people?
I'm excited to see that. So, okay, we talked a little bit about agentic AI, right? And that means so many different things to different people, depending on the flavor of the day. So, what does that mean when you say agentic AI?
So there's a technical definition that I won't bore you with. I think more importantly is what it does for customers. And what it does for customers is, by being agentic, it can make its own decisions. It can reason, it can plan, it can go quote unquote off script. Rather than following a fix, say this, then ask this, if they say yes, do that, if they say no, say this. That's the way we've traditionally built these systems. That's not agentic. Agentic is, it doesn't work that way. It's more like a human would work. You give them a training manual, you give them some directions, you tell them how to work, but they can think and reason for themselves and listen and hear what the end customer is saying and respond in the right way. That's what makes it agentic.
So with saying that, right, like what makes it agentic, being able to go off script, I was talking to Tiffany earlier around compliance and different things like that. So how do you guys think about agentic and going off script while also keeping that trust and that security governance layer?
Totally, and those are not mutually incompatible. And the way to understand that is that we've had this problem with human contact center agents forever too. I mean, what prevents all your human agents from saying, you stupid customer, I don't love you, and hang up with? They don't do that. Why? Because we put controls in place We've trained them, we've told them what to do, we give them instruction manuals, we observe their behavior, we evaluate their behavior. And so what we've done with our voice AI agents is we've actually done kind of the same kind of things. Funny, we have controls in place that are a mix of things. One of them is exactly this evaluation feature, where there's actually like sort of a thing of like a QM for AI agents that evaluates their performance at the end. And if you see a problem, you can look into the conversation and see what happened and then make adjustments on the agent training. But it also includes almost like what I call handcuffs. Right? We put the AI in a little bit of a box. We put it in a cage. We say, you can do this, but you can't do more than this. And I'll give you an example of one of the things that personally kept me up at night. Like I spent a lot of brain power on this particular problem. Let's say you're a financial services customer, and one of your customers is calling up and they want to transfer funds, or they want to have a check mailed to them.
Yeah.
How important is it, Juanita, that customer be authenticated before you have very
extremely
important. Yeah, extremely important.
Do not transfer my money without
authentication. So I asked myself the question, like, well, how accurate does it have to be for that? Is 90% okay? Are you okay, Juanita?
No.
What about 99%?
No.
No, exactly. So we said, I kept going. 99, nope. 99.9, 99.99, still not good enough. I want to make sure that the AI cannot hallucinate ever. In its wildest, most horrific dreams, we can do 100%. So our system has the ability to be set up for 100% guarantees for certain things like this. That, for example, you must have passed authentication before a financial transfer can happen, because we have a non-LLM part of the platform that's providing traditional software constraints. That's why it's in a box. It's got handcuffs. We handcuff the LLM and we say, I don't care what you say. We're going to double check your work and make sure that the user is actually authenticated before we proceed to the next step. This is one of several guardrails that we put into the system.
I love that, because I know when we think about teams that have global presence, compliance, trust, security, that can look different depending on region, right?
Absolutely.
And so then you have to go in and then fine tune that depending on what region and what's allowed over there. My final question for you, I could do this all day.
All right.
My final question for you is around, what's exciting you about next 2-3 years? What do you think is coming, and what are your next projects since you've just done voice AI?
I've sort of hinted already at the next projects we're doing and where we're focused, which is we've now got this voice AI agent working. The hard part about it actually is how do you train it, how do you keep it trained and up to date, and that's where this humAIntic data comes into play. So we're really just scratching the surface with the first phase of this product in leveraging humAIntic data to continuously train, observe, and improve these AI agents, and then allowing them to collaborate with humans. And this gets back to the importance of humans in the contact center. Today, we see this, the world is sort of this simple view that you send a call to the AI agent, it succeeds, great, it fails, transfer to human, and then the call's not contained. We've thought about that deeply, and we think that entire model is wrong. And so we're working on the next generation view of how to actually have humans and AI work together to deliver new types of experiences that we've never seen before. It's going to be very exciting next few years ahead of us.
I'm excited. I'm excited, Jonathan. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure as always, Juanita. Thank you so much for the time. All right. Thanks, viewers.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.